Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Rumcast. This is the podcast that talks all things rum related with the people who love and shape it. I'm Will Hookinga here with your co-host, my co-host, the people's co-host, John Gulla. And John, this is our second time doing
Installment?
a
Yeah.
second installment of a
Yeah.
new episode format that we've been playing around with. For several years now, we've been really steady with the two long episodes a month. Most of them have an interview. Sometimes they don't have an interview, and we kind of explore a topic ourselves. But we thought, generally those episodes run, an hour and a half to sometimes over 2 hours. And there's only two of them a month. And we thought, hey, it might be nice to kind of try something a little shorter to throw out there once a month to give, at least a third Rumcast episode out there. It's a little shorter, a little more
Yeah.
digestible, a
It's a
different format,
digestif.
a
Yeah.
digestif,
Yeah.
or an aperitif, maybe.
Aperitif? Well,
I
it
don't know.
depends
This
on the order, right?
exactly. Yeah, it
Yeah.
depends on the order. That'll vary from month to month, which one of those it is. But we introduced this concept back in episode 104, the concept of the semi-blind rum review. And this was sort of our gimmick, I guess I would say, on the typical, gimmick, I think has a negative connotation, but it's a fun gimmick in this
It's
case.
a shtick.
It's a
Wait,
shtick,
no, that's
yeah.
negative
I,
also.
it's a quirk, we'll say. We wanted to take the idea of a typical rum review and flip it on its head a little in the sense that we want to do one rum in each of these episodes where one of us knows what it is and has tried it before and is sharing their thoughts kind of based on, one past or multiple tastings, and the other of us has no idea what this rum is and is trying it for the very first time and offering their thoughts in real time. So it's kind of capturing the best of both worlds of sometimes it's great to have like a bit of an informed opinion on a rum, like knowing
Hmm.
how it was made and everything, but it can also be very valuable to have a completely uninformed and just going off the cuff, not influenced by the bottle, not influenced by the price, just influenced by what it looks like in the glass and how it tastes.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing here. And last time you were very brave. You volunteered to be the first to be the blind half of the equation. You did two
Hmm.
rums. We did Transcontinental Rum Line High Seas, and we did Shakara 12-year Thailand rum. So two newish rums that I think a lot of people are eager to try. And so if you missed that, you can go back to episode 104 and catch both of those reviews. In this episode, though, I
The
guess I should
tables have
they
turned.
have turned, and I am the
Hmm.
one being the blind taster. So
Hmm.
last time I don't think I appreciated just, the nerves that you were likely dealing with because I'm a little nervous here. There's a lot of potential for egg on my face in this little shtick that we have going.
Yeah, it's not easy, let me tell you, having been there through the gauntlet now once, you really want to try to do your best and like put forth I don't know, a good effort into figuring out what it is, but also just enjoying it and getting your own opinion at the same time, like you said, without having any other knowledge in the equation, which is actually a fun thing. So it's
Yeah.
a little bit of both. It's a little bit of nerves, but it's a little bit of fun, and you just kind of see where it goes. And hopefully I believe in you, Will. I think you can do well in this. So
I don't know. You did so well coming out of the gate that you really set the standard high. And so I kind of feel like there's nowhere to go but down. I mean, you didn't guess either of them exactly, but you got a lot of key details either right or very much in the ballpark. So the standard has been set, and I just have to try my best not to embarrass myself and embarrass the
yeah,
show as well. Because let's face it, I'm 50% of this thing. If I do something
yeah,
bad, it's going to make you look a little bad too. So I don't know. I don't want to damage the Rumcast brand too much on this episode.
be in the ballpark, Will. That is a good one. Yes, don't be in a different city.
All right.
Um,
Well, we should take a little pause really quickly just so in post-production we can share the name of this rum that we are about to talk about so that the listeners will know, but I will not. So, this rum is English Harbor 1981 25-year-old rum from Antigua Distillery Limited. Okay, hopefully I paused long enough. I have no idea, how many words, syllables, letters are going to need to go in there. So hopefully it was a big enough pause. But I have my glass right here
mhm.
and just kind
I
of
should mention I poured it for me also. Just I think you did the same
yeah.
thing
Oh
last
yeah,
time,
we've
so
both
I
got to
can
have it honest.
share in the
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
And I mean, you have to be giving your thoughts throughout this thing too,
Ah,
So, yeah, it's good to have it ready.
so what are you seeing here? What's the first things you're noting?
Well, it looks like a rum of moderate age. You know, it has a kind of a copperish, a little tinge of redness to it, maybe.
Hmm.
I tend to not put a ton of stock into what the color of a rum looks like, but I would say just going off what it looks like, you know, it's a medium aged rum. It doesn't look like it's spent 2 decades in a barrel or anything. And, you know, I don't want to speak to origin quite yet, but I think with that said, I'm just going to dive right into the nose and see what I'm getting.
Okay.
So very pleasant nose. This is definitely it noses like a cask driven rum, I would say. So I'm getting a lot of those cask elements, you know, vanilla, some baking
Hmm.
spices, caramel, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
And it's like very weirdly I don't want to see, this is the danger. Sometimes you associate something in your head,
Yeah.
like a specific association early on, and it gets stuck in there. But it's reminding me so much of that Shakara rum that you did on
Interesting.
the first time we did this.
That would be messed up of me, wouldn't it, if I did that back to you and you like
Yeah.
it's
It
in
would make for
play.
a
It
super
could
it would
be.
make for a super boring episode too, because when we
It would.
released it, it would just be like,
It
hey, we
would.
did this same rum again.
But I would get to do evil laughter afterwards
Yeah.
and but
So
yeah, I get
it
what you're
does
getting.
it has that Thailand kind of nose to it, and which one of the things that those Thailand rums remind me of a lot is sherry cask rums, and so that's one of the first places my mind goes is like, well, is this a sherry influenced rum?
Yeah.
But definitely
Um
this it's a very balanced nose, a little bit of like slightly perfumey thing going on at the end, not in a floral sense. It would be odd for you to send me a sample of a floral rum since we've established you're not a fan. But you know, I suppose you don't have to be a fan of everything you choose to put forth in these episodes.
I have no limits as to what I sent to you. I definitely thought of all things and didn't keep it into a vein of something I just like or don't like or anything along those lines. I'm pretty open.
And then, you know, a little bit of fruitiness, kind of like some berries going on,
Hmm.
a little bit of a tea vibe, which is another thing I got from that Thailand rum. So it's a pleasing nose all around. It's a very inviting nose, would appeal to a lot of people. There's nothing offbeat or really funky or anything like that about it. So I'm already, you know, my mind's going a few different directions. I'm crossing a few things off the list of stuff that I don't think it is, but I think I've done enough with the nose and I'm ready to go in for a taste.
I'm trying so hard just to not say much of anything to give you any indications.
So there's definitely something familiar about this rum. And I'm gonna start talking through. I don't want to go to origin yet. Maybe we should start with proof. I could start there. I don't think this is a high ABV rum. Were you gonna say
Okay.
something?
No, I was gonna say let's start there with proof and kind of we have a format we can follow a little bit, and it starts I think with proof first. So you said you don't think it's a high ABV rum, okay?
No, I also don't think it's 80 proof. So I
Okay.
think this is like somewhere around 90 proof. So 45% ABV, 44,
Okay.
46, somewhere in there perhaps. And I think it drinks appropriately for that. It has the alcohol is integrated well. It has a decent bit of flavor to it
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
impact it makes. So it's not boring by any means. It doesn't really fall flat on the palate, and the
Yeah.
palate really delivers on a lot of what's there in the nose.
You mentioned in the nose you thought it was maybe cask driven from the nose. That follows through for you?
It does. It does. I get Latin American vibes from
Mm-hmm.
this rum. Not like super duper light column still rum, so, but
Okay.
also not heavy pot still. So I don't know if that means like maybe it's a single column, you know, a heavy column rum like some of the Latin American distilleries do, or maybe it's one of the Latin American distilleries that also does some pot still rum. I'm not writing that off either because I do think this has some, you know, kind of a little bit of a thickness to it. Not super heavy, super oily or anything, but it's not just garden variety light multi-column distillate. All right, I'm saying this as if I definitively know. These are all guesses,
Right,
so
right, right.
I could be proven spectacularly wrong, but that's just, you know, the vibe I'm getting right now.
Yeah. Okay. And so then we have to start talking about an age. You mentioned based on the color, based on some other things, it's clearly an aged rum, but what are you thinking?
It is, and I think it's significant age, not super long. I'm getting like 10 years somewhere in there. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of like medium aged, moderately aged rum, where it's getting starting to get a little bit into the, long age territory, but not quite long aged. I tend to think of that as more like 13, 14 and beyond. Um,
Okay.
it drinks like a tropically aged rum to me. So I'm guessing that this comes from somewhere with a very warm climate, and I'm guessing that it is aged there at origin rather than being aged in Europe or something like that. What do you get from this rum, just in terms of, notes, anything stick out to you about it?
So I think you kind of hit a little bit of it on the head with the Thailand comparison because I can definitely see that. I think, like you mentioned, this is kind of a quintessential aged rum for me in terms of, okay, what are the classics that you think of? You mentioned them already, of that kind of influence of vanilla and some of the other things that you find in there. I don't find it particularly lovely in the sense of like, man, there's something here that I just love and want to keep going back to. I kind of feel like it's like, okay, what it's doing is on point, but it's just kind of there. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's a simple palette that isn't
Mm-hmm.
lacking in complexity, but it is not
Mm-hmm.
super evolving, very dense, very complex. It's approachable, but still interesting enough to where if you're a rum enthusiast and you like stuff that's not just 1,000% straightforward, you can still find some interesting qualities here. But yeah, very oak driven, vanilla, caramel on the palate. A little bit of those fruits that I mentioned is kind of like a graham cracker thing going on. And there's some sort of influence in here that I can't quite, I was thinking maybe sherry the first time when I was nosing it. I'm kind of going away from that now. There is a little bit of a nuttiness there, but on the palate, it expresses itself differently. And I'm not entirely sure what it is, but something is making me feel that maybe there is some sort of not just standard ex-bourbon casks going on.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm. So let's start talking a little bit more specific.
you're
Now
gonna
that
you're gonna
you've
grill me
kind of,
now, huh?
yeah, and you've kind of mentioned where you think you're at with proof and age. You're saying around the 45%-ish area. You're saying around 10 years or so. Pretty safe guesses, I have to say. So now I'm going to stick you with it. Where is this rum made? Country of
Where
origin.
All right. So I've been saying Latin America. I'm thinking less, islands like Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and I'm more thinking South America, Colombia, Panama, Venezuela. Actually, maybe it is Venezuela. Like maybe that's where I'm getting. I know they've got some
Hmm.
pot stills there between Diplomatico and Santa Teresa. I know they've both got some pot stills. So my brain's kind of going there. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I'll say Venezuela for the country of origin. That an appropriate guess. It might not be exact, but I feel like hopefully people can see the logic when the when the rum is revealed, which it's already
I
been
think
revealed to the listeners. So hopefully I will see the logic when it is revealed.
they're all either very impressed right now or absolutely laughing about it. So I think I see where you're going with the thought and the logic of like a Venezuelan aged rum. And when we think of those, I see where your brain is going with this. Even knowing what it is, I actually really make that connection. And I think it's astute. So
Wait, so are you just
give you a
telling
little
me?
kudos.
Did you just tell me that I'm wrong?
I didn't tell you you're right or wrong.
That's a very cryptic comment to give me. Okay, what do we have left to guess? Is it final
Okay.
guess time? I feel like I have enough data now at this
One
point.
one more thing. One
All right.
more thing. If you were going to pay a price for this rum,
Ooh,
well,
yeah.
actually, it's less of that question and more of what do you think this is being sold for? Right? What's the price?
There's a little bit of a metallic-y taste that I get to it
Hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Almost kind of like
Mm-hmm.
coppery, sort of like
Mm-hmm.
pennies. Something reminds
Mm-hmm.
me of that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I see that.
yeah, as far as price goes, I would guess this is a mid-market rum, you know. I don't think this is like introductory price, 20 to $30 rum. This strikes me as something that's maybe marked up a little bit, is maybe a medium premium offering from wherever it comes from. So
Mm-hmm.
I would guess like $60. This strikes me as the type of rum that probably sells for $60, but that I wish sold for like 45.
Mm-hmm.
because 60 feels a little bit steep for paying
Mm-hmm.
for this to me, just
Mm-hmm.
because it's quality, and I think this would be appealing to a lot of people, but it's also very much in a wheelhouse. What it gives you, you can find approximations of from a lot of other rums that are out there, I think. But it
Yeah.
does, I don't know, that hint of secondary aging or something. It's got that little something different, a little twist on it that makes me feel like it's probably a medium premium offering from whoever it comes from.
So with all that said, now I'm gonna hold you to your final guess
All right.
with it. What's your final guess on what this rum is?
I'm gonna guess it's a 10-year-old Venezuelan rum that is around $60. Is that specific enough?
And proof you're sticking with where you were at.
Oh yeah. I'll say 45. Yeah,
Okay.
45%, 90 proof.
I think I'm gonna we can keep it there. We could keep going. I could grill you on what type of, still you think it was made on and
Well, I'll
some of
also
the other
say this
things.
is obviously a molasses-based rum. I'll say
Oh, we
that.
forgot about that. Yes, thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
clearly a molasses-based rum. I mean, if I'm wrong on that, I'm gonna be really annoyed, but it has all the hallmarks of a molasses rum. And I think that's probably clear in the way I was describing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm really waffling on still. I'm gonna say that it's column still, but maybe with some pot component as well. So
Okay.
sitting
Okay.
right on the fence
I was
there.
gonna say you're smack in the middle of a lot of things here. All right. So you ready for the reveal for this?
I'm as ready as
It,
I'll ever be.
I was gonna
I
say,
want to
is
cover
your
my
heart
eyes.
still
We will
so?
be publishing this on YouTube so you could see the bottle reveal as I'm about to see it now.
Well, so as I'm revealing it, before I reveal it, I will say that this was a from a large sample that was provided to us. I don't have the original bottle, but there's a reason.
Oh, okay, okay.
There's a reason. And so the nice thing though is that the label on it, it's pretty clear. So you ready?
I'm
Here it
ready.
comes. Do you see those big numbers there?
Yes. Oh, wow. Oh, tell the people
There
what
you
this is,
go. So
John.
it is English Harbor, 1981. This is a
Oh,
25-year-old
wow.
distilled 1981, bottled in September of 2006 from Antigua Distillery Limited. So,
Antigua. Wow.
yes, I
Got
always
my
say Antigua,
ass.
but it's Antigua. Yes, yes. So that's a tough one, I have to say. First of all, I'm going to give you credit because I think everywhere you went with it, I would have gone a similar place.
Well,
I have to be honest.
and yeah, Antigua is tricky because it has a lot of the hallmarks of the sort of Latin American style,
It does.
column still.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I feel like it's not usually kind of lumped in. It's more associated with sort of English style rums. Maybe that's just because of the English Harbor
The
brand,
English
though. I
Harbor
don't
name.
know.
Yeah,
But wow, okay. I remember this was a while ago that
it
you
was.
texted me about like, hey, we have an opportunity to buy a sample of a
Mm-hmm.
sizable chunk of a bottle of this. And I was like, sure, yeah, let's do it. I mean, this was like 8 months ago
Six
or
months ago,
something.
eight
So this
months ago.
was
Yeah, yeah.
totally out of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, okay. So give us some of the specs on this. Obviously, I
All
was
right.
way off on the age. You said 25 years old. That's
25
amazing to me
years.
because this was aged at origin, right?
I believe so. So the part of the issue is, even though I did research a lot on this, there's some questions about it. So not everything is well known.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the more recent released rums. This one's been on the market for a while. This is not, a real new release here. But so let me go through some of the stats. So it is, even though I believe you said you didn't think it was a 40%, it is a 40% ABV rum.
Okay. Well,
So
I feel a little less bad about that though, because being a 25-year-old aged rum,
yes,
even at lower ABV, you tend to get very powerful flavors, even at
totally
80
agree.
proof for a very long aged rum like that. So
Yep.
that makes sense a little bit, but that is very impressive for 80 proof.
It is. I think that's what it does well, and I would have guessed very similar to you in terms of its ABV being higher than 40 because it does have a good amount of flavor in there. It's not a weak rum. The age being 25, as we talked about, the country of origin, obviously it's Antigua. The price on this one,
Oh, I was way
any
off
venture
there.
on the price?
I mean, this is what, like a $300-400 bottle, something like that.
So it initially came out on the market a few years ago for 150 pounds.
Oh, okay.
So that's like what, 180,
Yeah,
175
something
bucks,
like
something
that.
like
Yeah.
that. So not terrible. Nowadays, obviously, on the secondary market, it's 500 to $1,600 in some cases for a bottle of this.
It's
So
funny. As soon as I started thinking about the age, I went back for another sip, and like the first thing that popped into my mind was like prunes, raisins, and like that's sort of like stuff that you get from a an older rum.
yeah.
It's like my brain was open to tasting those now, or maybe it's just the power of suggestion. I don't know, but wow, yeah.
When you said this reminded you of like, and you actually went with the guess of Venezuela, I was like,
Hmm.
yes, Santa Teresa, I could see as kind of a weird cognate for this
Yeah.
in a weird, odd way. But when you said it, that flashed into my mind also of like, huh, I almost want to try it back to back and see how close it is. It
It
just
definitely it
like
definitely doesn't have the weird musty Santa Teresa
no, no,
note
no, no,
though.
no, no, no. It's better than that. This I like more than that.
There's a
But
little bit
there's
of like a
something.
spearmint note I'm getting from it now as well.
You said copper also, which I get.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm taking another sip, and I do like the rum. So,
Hmm.
knowing what it is and having tasted it, I don't feel like I let the age get the better of me in terms of like expectation and that I was going to say, okay, this is going to be awesome. It's 25 years old. I just went into it and said, let me see what this is about.
Yeah,
Also, knowing it was 40% ABV, I knew that it would probably be a little weaker than I usually enjoy.
yeah.
So, with that said, I'm pleasantly surprised by this. I think it is a good rum, but I also we can't go too much further here without talking about the debate.
The
And
debate.
there's a little debate online about whether or not there's additives in this rum.
Ooh, really?
It's unclear, but there are certainly people saying that this has been altered or sweetened, or maybe it's just a little bit of caramel, which would be odd to age something for 25 years unless they did that 25 years ago. It wasn't for color, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of could see it because it is a little on the sweet tingy side for me.
It is
Um,
it's a little sweet, but going through it, the thought of it being possibly sweetened never entered my mind until you
yeah,
brought it up. So I would say if it is sweetened, it's probably not
very
very
little.
much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I could kind of see it because it is it's on the sweeter side of what I would expect from a rum with no additives.
Right. I kind of call it balanced because there's definitely you get some pop and some spice in it also. It's not like
Yeah.
one of those saccharine type of sweetened rums that we've,
Yeah.
kind of talked about. It's definitely nice. I would drink this. Again, somebody gave this to me blind. I wouldn't have said it's a sweetened rum
Hmm.
immediately. So,
Yeah, I would
yeah,
think at this price, I think you're paying a premium for exclusivity and
right,
rarity on the rum.
right.
I don't think just in a vacuum I would pay that much for this rum just as it is, but I do like English Harbor rums. And so if I was someone who was a fan of the distillery, I think you could, buy this rum for what it originally came out at and you wouldn't be disappointed in it.
Yeah,
It's a good rum. It's just it has me wanting to try a little bit more of their more experimental stuff to see what those are like.
yeah.
So anyway, fun first blind experience for me on the Rumcast Semi-Blind Rum Reviews. And I'd love to know anyone out there who has tried this rum, your thoughts on it. And if you think my guesses were ridiculous based on it, that would be good to know. So don't hold back. Send us an email, host@rumcast.com, host@rumcast.com. As always, you can also find us on social media. John, where can they find us?
At the Rumcast at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can get us there, and you can tell Will he did an admirable job in this case. I think he did pretty well.
Very
Yeah, find
generous
us
of
there.
you.
Give us a talk back on it to let us know. Especially, this is a harder rum to source, but if you've had it, we want to know.
And let us know what you think of the episode format, what we could do differently if you like it, if you want to see more. We've got a few more in the pipeline that we're going to release. You got to give it a chance to get out there and breathe a little bit, but we'd love to hear any feedback you have on it. And also go on YouTube if you want to see my face in real time when John reveals this rum to me. And yeah, enjoy that there. John, we'll be back with
Cheers.
more semi-blind rum reviews soon. Cheers.